Let's move on. By the way, before we do this, I'm curious about your thoughts on this, and I'm going to tell you how this all came to be, because on Conference Championship Sunday, you get a lot more people under the NFL tent, and we welcome everyone. Come on in, watch the games. I think that when you have people watching the big games who don't watch all games, you get different perspectives, you get different takes, you get different ideas. So a group of friends, guys that I've known since I was 6, 7, 8 years old, right? Some of them. We text each other all the time, and they started texting on Sunday during the game, during the Patriots-Broncos game, about the weather. And one of my friends, his mother, who's in her 80s, said, all these games should be played indoors. They should all be played in domes, the conference championship games. And it reminded me, that was a thing a few years ago, because the Bills and the Chiefs, if the Bengals hadn't beaten Buffalo in the division around 27-10 in the snow, that would have been Bills-Chiefs in Atlanta indoors, because that was their convoluted formula for balancing out competitive inequity after the cancellation of the Bills-Bengals game when Damar Hamlin had cardiac arrest on the field. So at that time, people in the league were starting to push this idea of neutral site conference championship games. Apparently, the late Lamar Hunt, the guy that came up with the term Super Bowl, he pushed it every year. He thought they should do this, and there's this idea it's going to be like college football. Half the stadium is fans of one team, the other half is fans of the other team, and weather won't be an issue. And I guess that's really the question. Do we want the possibility of what happened on Sunday, even though it seemed to completely change the game for both teams' offenses, or do we want, ideally, pristine conditions like the Super Bowl has, unaffected by weather? I mean, you can still get some weather in the Super Bowl depending upon the location. We could get some, for all I know, when we're in San Francisco and Santa Clara. But what do we want in these biggest of big games? Do we want it to be whatever the elements may be, snow, sleet, freezing rain, bitter cold, or do we want the teams to be able to operate to the best of their ability? And I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I raise the question and people jump my shit. It's like, I'm just raising the question. What do we want?
Right.
Because at times it was unplayable, and at times it was unwatchable in the fourth quarter of Sunday's game in Denver.
Yeah, well, it still was awesome to watch, though, I thought. I mean, I really did.
But the game itself, it's awesome to watch because it's rare.
Right.
But they're slipping around and they're not getting anything done. It's like none of these plays are working.
Well,
nothing's working.
This was a rare circumstance, I think, when you talk about the type of weather it was and how greatly affected the football game. No, I would be in favor of the way it is. I love the fact that some teams got to come into this team's stadium on this day, and you got to beat them in their stadium, and they earned that the whole year to be there, and you got to do that. Now, we had a weird day there where it was beyond weather, and we usually don't have that. But man, I mean, all the great weather games that we've had on Championship Sunday throughout the years, just the regular cold days, whatever. Patriots at Chiefs in 2018 and how that looked on TV. I don't want that to go away into a dome and not deal with cold weather elements out there. So yeah, this was one of those rare events where the weather was so bad, it really did affect the game. It still was fun to watch. It still was very like, whoa, how are these guys going to manage this game and get out of this? And it felt like, you were sitting there on the edge of your seat because of that. But yeah, it wasn't great big plays. But I'm still in favor of, the home team gets it. And I like, the fact of, hey, we're a cold weather team. You might not be. But to get to the Super Bowl, we earned it, and you're going to have to come up here and play in our environment before you get to the warm, cozy dome of the Super Bowl. I love that, actually. Yeah.
And if that's going to be the case, it makes it more glaring that you've got teams giving up their advantage.
Yeah,
the Chiefs
right.
Going to Kansas and moving into a dome. The Bears wanting to build a dome. The Broncos' next stadium may be a dome. There was an item in Sports Business Journal a couple weeks ago that, like, within the next 10 years, 17 teams could be playing indoors.
Yeah, I saw that.
17.
That's crazy. I don't like that.
Yeah. And I remember when it was a rarity, and hell, it never even occurred to me back in the late 70s, early 80s when the Vikings gave up their home field advantage to go into a dome, because there was something magical and mystical about domes because there were so few of them. It was like, wow, the Astrodome, wow, the Superdome. Like, there's nothing bad about a dome. Domes are cool. And then you start seeing the games with the indoor plastic cement, and like the Metrodome, it's like they use chalk for the it never looked good. The field never looked good, and
right.
the roof collapsed eventually. Like, well, some domes are worse than others, and the Packers are never giving up their open air,
right.
cold weather advantage. The Steelers won't do it. The Giants and the Jets aren't in a dome. The Bills are building a brand new stadium now. If they're ever going to have a dome, it's going to be 40 years from now in Buffalo. So it's going to be part of the sport, and the possibility of what we saw on Sunday will be there. And hey, if the Patriots hadn't lost to the Raiders week 1 and everything else played out the way it did, we would have seen worse snow on Sunday for the AFC Championship because it was far worse. The Patriots had to spend the night in Denver before they could fly back to Boston on Monday.
So many special nights there. And I think that's what makes the championship Sunday great is, can the San Diego Chargers and Phillip Rivers go into New England on a cold day and beat Tom Brady and that crew, right? Can your Minnesota Vikings and Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper go play the Giants, in a 25-degree day and it's windy and cold, 41-3, go G-Man, but you know what I'm saying.
Because they hacked their radios.
But I know. I'm not trying to be. But I do love that aspect. And to your point,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding about the radios. But there was some claim about the radios being hacked.
Right,
there was. Remember we talked about this before, and I found the link to it.
But either way, I love those elements and watching that and how it looks on TV. Yesterday, Sunday was a little extreme. There's no doubt about that. But to your point and what you were saying, I was going to go there too. I mean, we're a few years away where the game's going to be in the dome almost, automatically because of what you talked about, right? And as far as the 17 teams going to have domes going forward. And, I think some teams are sacrificing some big home field advantages. I know that was something, right, that I know the Giants did. The league wanted the Giants and MetLife Stadium to be a dome so it could host more Super Bowls. And from my understanding of the story and how it went down, the Giants kind of put their foot down and they're like, no, absolutely not. We want Dallas to come here and other teams to come here in December and have to freeze their butt off and deal in the elements. And there is something to be gained by that for sure. But, we're getting lost in money and of course, the concerts and all that. So, these are few and far between, I think, as we go forward.
They want to be able to open that door when the opposing team's kicking a field goal, right?
Exactly.
Wasn't that at the old stadium?
Right.
They still have that new stadium, the door they open up.
Yes. There was like these big garages in the old Giants stadium, big metal doors that one cut off the tunnel to the field, and then there was another one that cut off, the tunnel from the field there. So there was always two, and that was always kind of, the rumor that, oh, hey, let's put the garages up now. Joe Montana and company are on offense. Let's make it a little windy out there for them.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.